many in the family. So then what we will do, to know about any system, not only we need to know the central value but also its peripheral spread. Okay, just like in Bombay, in any foreign country, we still might be all over the world, most of the people know the gateway of India. That may be the central value, because most Bombay is identified by the gateway of India, but it is not the whole introduction of the Bombay. We also know what is the periphery of the Bombay. Okay, when we know the central value and peripheral value, then it completes the introduction of that system. That is for everything, for patient or anything. The same thing, what about other readings we have from the same machine? Okay, just like in our study we have a mean, but what about the other values? As mentioned, all the definitions or tools we have are imperfect. That's why we need the two values to understand any system. And that when we that one is the central tendency, and when we try to know the exact periphery of this system, that becomes the peripheral spread, and that becomes the measure of the peripheral spread. And in statistics it is called dispersion, standard deviation, percentile variance, all these things. Just like then if I want to complete the introduction of the family, I name the head of the family, the others in the family, siblings. But again, here again imperfection, calculating the mean and the peripheral spread does not complete anything. There might be some definition. My definition is of family is the husband, wife, and 2 children. Someone defined family, the grandfathers also. Okay, someone defines the siblings also, or cousins also. So there is always imperfection. That's why we need some approximation, so that we go in one direction. We can't wander here and there out of the limit. Just like now mean weight comes 999 grams, or more we add the peripheral spread 999 grams plus minus 1.25 grams. Now shopkeeper or manufacturer may say, out of 100 measurements, 95 gives some reading in between this and this, while most of the values would be near the. This gives an idea about that inherently variable system. This is the best machine can perform. Now imagine mean weight of the second sugar pack comes out 998 grams. One thinks there is a really less sugar in this pack, or difference is per chance. What should we do? Here comes the role of test of significance. Okay, that tells the difference of any significance in the difference or not. Of course, there are a lot of nuances, assumptions, and these tests are also not perfect. Just like mean and standard deviation, there are definition. We can change definition. By the changing definition, everything changes, and all the nuances we have all have been discussed in great detail in these 2 days. I am not going. This principle applies. We want to see just like what we are taught by Dr. Nayak, Dr. Shah, everybody. We want to see factor A really causing a particular disease. We do a cohort case control study whatsoever. Then next question or next variable comes, whether the association is really true. Then in fact, all the things are related. Dogs are different, dogs are separated, but it is not so. They are totally moving, and we think all of them at one point. Then only I interpret any article. Just like this, first we think whether A really causing, then immediately next we think whether A really causing, then immediately next question should arise in our mind, whether there is truly an association. Then association is done. Then whether if there is 2 groups, whether they are really significant or just I am observing just it is out of chance. And this was all the fine things have been taught by Dr. Nayak or all others. Just like Dr. Rajiv Parikh, if we are dealing with a test, our objective question is there, whether this test, this one test I am dealing with, giving the plus results in some subject and it is negative in some other. Okay, my study objective is whether this test is really valid, or it is really becoming positive in a disease, or just it's by any chance only I am seeing these results. Perhaps somebody else is doing this test and getting some other result. Then whatever Dr. Rajiv Parikh has told, we start thinking in that direction. Okay, everything is, it's not, we should not deal separately. One talk is validity. What is my point? There is only strict word count. Our article is only of 2 or 3 pages. Okay, and if write down only one speaker's matter, it will become a book. What is written in the slide, what he has explained, what we have given input. So how we apply all these things in 2 pages article? Okay, we can't spend 1 or 2 months to interpret the 2-page article. So that's why we have to think collectively and in a short span of time, and we only think rapidly when we take all the things simultaneously. No thing is separate, everything is very closely related, interrelated. Again, when we decide the mean, we are thinking about the validity of test. Naturally, next question comes whether all the things are dependent upon the number of subjects. So immediately from the stat tables, immediately we go to the introduction part or material method part to see whether the prevalence or sample size, all these are mentioned, all these are accurate, or what is needed for this particular study is actually the authors have calculated or gathered. Okay. Again, checking all these things immediately comes in the mind whether whatever test is being used, whether it is valid in this particular scenario. Imagine I have a machine that can measure some distance in microns. I cannot use this machine to measure meters. Okay. If I need to measure distance in a micron, if I am using that tool that is measuring meters long 1 kilometer or 2 kilometers, that type of measuring tape I am measuring, it will never give me correct answer. Immediately question should come, if whether methods are, then we immediately go to the method section and check it out, and with all nuances, whatever we have told over the 2 days. Again, the same things again when we analyze all these things, then again questions are whether randomization is done properly or not, because everything is very good, but the subjects have not an equal opportunity to express themselves. The study becomes waste. In fact, stat is needed given the uncertainty and variability whatever we measure or define in the nature. Stat is not indicative of our perfection, but we are reminded of our imperfection and limitations by the stat at every step. Okay, it is not by applying tests our study becomes foolproof. We apply tests because we cannot measure very perfectly. We have to make approximation everywhere. So it is erroneous impressions. I am writing an article. I am thinking if I am not applying stats, my article is not as good. If needed only I can apply, and needed means because where there is variability I cannot make a definite statement, then I only need to apply the stats. And it actually as I have said, it is the sign of imperfection, not a sign of perfection. This is erroneous thought if I am saying applying stat is the sign of perfection, and who knows the stat is no better than other. After all these, I say in the very top tier journal in 2000, and conclusion was photodynamic therapy with half-dose electropapine is effective in treating acute symptomatic CSE, resulting in higher proportion of patients with the absence of executive macular detachment and better visual acuity. Given this study is very good, very perfect, but nobody started doing PDT for acute central serous retinopathy, and this article is there, though very good, but nobody is attempting this treatment. Just we should check why. These introduction is very well written, all the background knowledge is given, everything is very perfectly done. One thing author himself asserted in the background, whatever background they have given, only 5% of patients experience the visual loss. 95% of patients in some series given the references are given, 98% of persons improve over the 3 months of time spontaneously without any treatment. We should remember this fact, and authors have asserted it. The authors postulated that safety-enhanced PDT useful in preventing persistent or recurrence of exudative retinal detachment in acute CSE. Hypothesis is very well written. Now the method is very good. Everything is done very perfectly, very well described and put here. randomization is very good, masking is very good, everything is very good. See this table, all the baseline parameters are noted, the p-values are denoted, all the tests are mentioned, and all the appropriately applied. There is no deficiency in anything. Now that primary outcome measure is the visual acuity. Now see what is here. The difference between two groups was statistically significant 1 year after treatment, with mean plus the standard deviation normal is in the vetroporfin group further improved minus 0.05 plus minus 0.9 SNL acuity, that is 2018. Whereas that is in placebo group it is 20/22. Okay, it is statistically significant, but clinically we know 2018 and 2022 what just come to the subjective visual acuity. At 12 months, the vetroporfin group had significantly better visual acuity score compared with placebo group with mean scores of 91% and 79%. This is also statistically significant. But it is really just see the figure 91% and remember the 95% is spontaneously removed. Okay? Does it really 91% improve? I say it only 12% improved. Because 79% improved by itself without any treatment. Actually, it is not 91%. Only 12% has improved by the treatment, in fact. Okay. Now, this is a secondary outcome measure, one of the secondary outcome measure, but I have put here. Now, even angiographic study, you see the 94.9%, 95% I only improved even the best of the treatment. Okay. Remember the background knowledge, 95 to 98% improved spontaneously. Again, even though not a primary outcome measure, secondary outcome measure, but here only even best of the treatment, 95% is improving. And again, it is not 95%, just minus whatever is improving by itself. What is wrong with this study? Everything is perfect, but nobody is doing PDT for CSR. These baseline parameters are there. What I have put in one slide, do all the hair splitting in this table, do all the hair splitting, because answer comes from this table. What is wrong with it? Everything is written very good, but something is missing. Actually, I think most of us are ophthalmologists. We know the size and volume of lesion in the central serous retinopathy is the most important determinant of the outcome. Bigger the lesion, delayed the recovery. Most the subretinal fluid, delayed the recovery or poor visual outcome. Here anywhere it is mentioned the lesion size. Because of this lag, all the matching, all the randomization, it is possible patients are not controlled and treated group is not matched as far as lesion size, that is the most important determinant of the visual outcome. It is not matched. Despite all this good exercise, in the last it comes out what we are concerned with, it not matched, not randomized. It is possible, very much possible. This is the reason some results are coming which we are wondering. Where is the lesion size? Or best, where is the lesion volume? Lesion characteristics are not matched or randomized as per given data. Okay. Now, I say this 94%, if you go by actual number, it is only 1 or 2 patients. Percentage value has no meaning. Today, every good journal publishes the actual numbers, not the percentage. Percentage are big. Authors may contest only 1 or 2 patients, not a big deal in the treated group. But they are not taking this argument. They are very silent. Why? Because we have taught this all these things here. Just they know this thing. In the discussion part they put, because to study the adverse effect they need the 300 patients. This study is not powered for the adverse effect. That's why they are not taking that platform. Only one patient is not know why you are making a record. Because if they say like this, anyone can get neck. because study is powered only to see the visual outcome, not the adverse outcome, only the outcome we want. And if they go to see the adverse outcome, where the 98% of the patients are improving by itself, the large sample size would be needed, 300 patients. Again, one may say, okay, 98% is the background knowledge. Patients are improving, at least 12% more is it true? Authors does know the answer. Again, they have put in discussion. Because for statistics purpose, 12 or 13, whatever they have taken into the observation group, it may be good for statistic purpose. But we know for disease like CSR, where maybe they statistically very good, but it is not relevant. Actually, in the sample size calculation, the sample size is the minimum number of patients required. It is not if you are getting more number of patients, you don't take. Try to take as many patients as possible. If your sample size is taking 50 and you are getting 100, it's a very good thing. If your sample size is bigger, chances of the study naturally becomes good, as we have taught in previous lecture. So it is the minimum number of patients, and they know it is a smaller number. That's why they are not arguing on that platform also. Whether all the limitations, but 12 is the number. 12% is definitely improving. We can't say, because they have given plenty of references, articles, where 98% are. So one may question how in your study only 54% is improving. The reason there is a smaller number. We need some more numbers. Now, how much credence will you give to this? Everything is perfect in this study. It is published in a top tier journal. It's very good randomization, very good masking. Should we take the conclusion as such, what they have written? And this is the reason, despite all the things, nobody is doing PDT as of now. It's not the, if anything has been published in after a good review, you can take as such. And interpretation, believe me, you practice it, a day comes not long before, at a glance you know whether article is good or not. Just keep those simple principles in mind and think simultaneously of all the things. At a glance you know, seeing the introduction, seeing the material method, whether article is good or not. It will not take months to apply all the principles we are taught here and whether it is good or not. Whether at a glance you know, good article or not, they are saying something or not. Okay. So everything comes out of human evaluation. Even everything seems perfect, don't stop, but critically analyze. There must be imperfection. That matters. Thank you.
Thank you, Alok. Any comments, Sudeep?
Again, it's back to the same thing. Because if you honestly done the work,
yes,
and it is better to show.
Right.
If you've not shown a difference,
right,
it doesn't mean that there isn't a difference.
right.
If you're sure that it's there, that you just have to do it better the next time.
Yeah.
Anything? Vishwas? Thank you, Alok. We have the final from Dr. Joshi, Heman Joshi.
Yeah, it's learning. Yeah, namaste. Guru Deva Bhava. I came to learn, I have learned a lot, so many thanks to you. I am Dr. Heman Joshi, I am a pediatrician, I am in private practice, I am at Virat. I want to work on this problem, so I came to learn. We'll use it the way it is. Can you help me with this?
Yeah. Play.
Oh, it's okay, this will do now. I just want to show 4 points, nothing much. See what concerns me, what, you can hear me, right? Mic.
Not me.
I'll hold it, so that saves time. That bad oral health is world's biggest health problem. All doctors like me think it is dentist problem, and there are not 1% people go to dentist. And more than 80% people who are 40 years old in India have caries teeth, foul smelling teeth, fallen teeth. In fact, by 5th birthday, 50% every alternate child has bad teeth. And we don't do it. In fact, every GP, every MBBS doctor must also, it is his job, he's paid for total care, we don't do it. And there is nothing is happening about it. And WHO is worried, so they are doing World Day and all that. Can we change this? It is caused by 60% of it is by Streptococcus mutans bacteria. And now I know two things about it. It thrives on sucrose, that is sugar. 1947 India became free. That time we had 80% people having caries. 1857 Jhansi Ki Rani died. That time we had no caries. What made the change? Europeans brought white sugar that we eat. This makes our teeth yellow, and there the bacteria grow. They use sugar, make lactic acid, it removes calcium, and we get holes in our teeth. Simple. So that is number one. And number two, common salt kills all the bacteria. That is why if you put salt, fish, mutton, they are preserved, our organs are preserved, pickles are preserved. Nothing grows. Salt is a very good preservative. So if you preserve your teeth with your salt, add salt to your paste. We are working on this for 25 years for some other reasons. Our teeth will be preserved. So the idea is you add salt to your paste or manjana, whatever you do in the morning and at bedtime and whenever you eat something. Just two things. Keep sugar away and next slide. Can you give me next slide? Okay. So we have been planning this study and this suddenly came up on the SMS from that this program is there, so I came to learn. So we are trying this program, 25 pediatricians, my colleagues, we are trying to do this study now in our own practice, that all the newborn babies who have no teeth, their mouths are colonized by this bacteria before teeth are born. So our teeth start getting bad the day they are born. We are going to keep them sugar free for at least till first birthday or beyond. Because one pediatrician colleague, one dentist colleague, his daughter Ovi, her teeth are good. He did not give her sugar till first birthday. He gives her chocolates only once a week, Sunday. Collect your collections if there are gifts and eat on Sunday and brush twice. So we have an example also. And then we are just going to add salt to the paste or whatever they do. And we'll, I know that up to 5th birthday, half the children have caries teeth. We'll study the incidence of caries teeth. Simultaneously, anybody who comes to my clinic today onwards, newborn babies, we will say no sugar, don't add sugar, nothing happens. And in couple of years, say 5 years, if we can show that all these babies do not get caries teeth, then we have done something which has not happened in last whatever years. Next. What do we do for adults? Use as less sugar as possible. Sugar, toffees, candies, they stick, chocolates, they stick to your teeth and then they spoil your teeth. If you want to eat sweet, eat with food, chocolate with food, lunch, then brush your teeth. Reduce sugar. Number two, add salt to your paste, manjana, whatever, and clean your teeth with salt after food. If you want to try this, you try your own self. I actually came to seek guidance, so I am telling you all this. You are all experts in medical research. I do not know how to do all this. These are just primary ideas that we have in mind. We will build up a protocol and a question and all that I have learned here, and we will keep taking your help. If you get some ideas, please give us. That's my next slide. So my email is not that. Email address is not there. haj2007 haj2007@gmail.com is my email ID. So please help us out. Thank you. Thanks.
I think you have to follow the philosophy of being honest. And,
Yes.
And then I think any paper you have to do medical planning.
Yeah.
You have 25 pediatricians already. I think probably that's the best you can do it. I think you have to develop a protocol and probably all observations recorded well, so that you can even do a pilot study first and then do the protocol. And I think there is a question which you have to put it like, whatever you do, it should help mankind.
Yeah.
And I think you should not harm anybody. So I think that you are right. I don't think mine is only on publication I do, which I, that's okay. Anything else you want to say? Anybody want to say? Or any feedback? How else we can do this workshop next time better?
So all the presentations that you've seen in the past 2 days, once the presenters give us their consent, we will be uploading onto the IGO website in the next few days. For those people who wanted some of the slides and the flowcharts weren't clearly visible in the handbooks, especially Dr. Nayak's and Dr. Raju Parekh, so those you can get online in the next few days. Also, we'll also be uploading a feedback form online, so you can fill that out for us. Does anyone have any other questions?
So we thank Indian Journal of Ophthalmology and my team and Varun Nayak, program. Thank all the speakers and Sudeep and Vishwas are the representatives here. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Have a nice weekend.
After tea.
Okay. Tea is there in the same place?
Yes.
Okay, the tea, coffee.